So I put out a video last week talking all about what I thought was going to happen for the Zelda 35th anniversary. And a piece of that had to do with Nintendo's E3 presentation, if they were going to be at E3. And we now know, yes, Nintendo will be at E3. And today I kind of just want to talk about everything else. I want to talk about everything besides the Zelda 35th anniversary stuff that we could possibly see at E3. Because this could be, and I know you've probably heard this before, this could be Nintendo's biggest year ever. Really quickly, before we jump into this video, do me a favor, make sure you are subscribed, because you may think that you are, but you're actually not. 85% of the people who watch these videos actually are not subscribed and might think that they are. So go ahead and look down there really quick, make sure you are if you want to be. I'll stop bothering you now. Back to the video. So as I was saying, in that last video, I said Nintendo's probably going to say something about the Zelda 35th anniversary in their E3 Direct. I think it will probably be a small portion of that presentation though. The sales predictions for Nintendo this year are absolutely massive. And at this point, the only thing we really have had this year is Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and we know we're getting Skyward Sword. Now, obviously we've had Monster Hunter Rise as well, which is amazing and obviously doing very well, but that's not a game from Nintendo. That's a Capcom game. So that's great, but you know, we're talking about Nintendo games mostly here. We also have Pokemon Snap coming out at the end of this month, so there's another one. But let's go ahead and jump in here and see what we actually might see at E3 to finish out the year. I really do think it could be huge. And not to retread on the Zelda stuff, but I do want to start with saying, again, I do think we are going to see Breath of the Wild 2 in a very big way at E3. I'll link the video right here and at the end in case you want to check it out. But as I said in the Zelda 35th anniversary video, I think this is where we're going to get the release date. I think we're going to get gameplay here. I think they're really going to tell us a lot about what the new mechanics of this game are here. Everything that we've been wondering since we saw that first trailer in 2019, I think those questions will be answered in this Direct at E3. I think that one is coming out in early 2022, but you have to remember, Nintendo's years are a little bit different than our calendar year. They go March to March. So even if it comes out before March, it still counts as this year to Nintendo. A few other games we've already had a little bit of a look at, and we do know are coming supposedly 2021 and early 2022. The Diamond and Pearl remakes, I think those are obviously going to sell like crazy. We don't have to worry about that. Nintendo's gonna get huge sales from those games. The remakes, I'm not 100% sold on. They don't really do it for me. I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan ever. So the old school kind of art style that they're going for to match, you know, kind of what the games were, doesn't really do it for me. But the new Pokemon Legends game, that one I'm very interested in. That one also another game that is coming out in early 2022. But again, if it comes out before March, that's technically this year for Nintendo. I would say the two remakes and the new Pokemon game are probably things we will see at E3. Makes a lot of sense, you know. I'd say the remakes are probably coming out closer to the holiday season, maybe not the holiday game, but maybe a supporting title to the holiday game. But who knows, we could get those a lot earlier this year than we think, and then get the new Pokemon Legends game very early in 2022. It'll definitely be interesting to see how they split those up, and I'm sure we're gonna cover a lot of that in videos going down the line here as we get closer to E3 and beyond. But yeah, those are gonna be massive sellers. I think we're gonna see those at E3. And we've gotta go ahead and talk about these games because it seems like every single time I do a video talking about things we could see potentially this year or in this Direct, two games always come up, always. The first one, Bayonetta 3. I think E3 2021 is finally the place we see Bayonetta 3. We have literally not seen anything about this game except for the cinematic trailer we saw, I don't even know how long ago. It was so long ago now, I don't even remember when it was. But I feel like it's got to be time. We've waited so long to see anything about this game. Not that it's the only one, but I'm ready for Bayonetta 3. I really want to see what this game's about. I feel like the reason it's taking so long is because they've gone back and maybe changed some things in the game, maybe made it a little bit more, I don't want to say better, just different than the previous two. Maybe there's things, you know, in this game that they had to go back and rework, and that's why we haven't seen it in such a long time. I hope. But I think maybe, hopefully E3 is where we finally get to see that one. And another one we always talk about when it comes to these things, the Metroid Prime Trilogy. From what we have been told by all these rumors, but all over the place, this game's been done and ready to be dropped on the Switch literally anytime they want for about, I don't know, 400 years it seems like. Since the beginning of time, this game has already been finished and ready to be put on the Switch. I feel like we could see that game here. Another one we could see is that 2D Metroid game that we keep hearing about. I'd be super happy to see either of these things, but I think if we do see either of them, they will be accompanied by our first Metroid Prime 4 trailer. I think we are close enough to when they're actually planning to release this game, or when they could potentially release this game, that they could show us something, even if it's just a cinematic trailer. I think this is the time. It's been a long time since we found out that Retro Studios was gonna be taking this over and they had to restart the development. I think at least a cinematic trailer at this E3 is, I think it's doable. But I would really like to see the Metroid Prime Trilogy finally get released on the Switch. I want to play those 3 games. And I know there are a ton of other people out there who have not played those 3 games. Obviously, I'm gonna be playing Metroid Prime 4. I need time to play these other 3 games before that one drops. Now, this year would be a great time for that. Another game I did want to talk about is Splatoon 3. I don't think we're gonna be seeing any of this game, at least this year at E3. They didn't really show us a whole lot about that, and they did just talk about it. It's not coming out till 2022. We don't know when, what part of 2022. I don't think they're gonna worry about that one right now. I think that's probably something we'll see at the beginning of next year, maybe January, February, whenever we have that, you know, beginning of the year direct. I think that's probably when we'll start seeing the Splatoon 3 hype train really start rolling. Now, before we get into what I think is probably going to be the biggest bomb dropped at E3, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which could, I guess, potentially be the other big bomb dropped at E3, and that is the Switch Pro. Now, we have heard so many rumors about this thing. At this point, it's kind of hard to not believe that it's coming, and probably coming soon. I think at this point, we are going to see the Switch Pro announced very soon. Now, whether or not E3 is the place for that, I'm not so sure. I feel like maybe they're going to have way too many things that they want to focus on at E3, and that might overshadow everything. But I could be totally wrong about that. I need to think about that a little bit more. But obviously, like I said, we're probably gonna be doing more videos leading up to E3 and beyond, so I'll probably do a video on just that at some point, but it's possible. I would say more unlikely than likely, but still possible. Now, the big bomb I think is going to be dropped at E3 this year is what I think now is going to be the holiday game in 2021. Now, as you guys know, I've been saying Breath of the Wild 2 was holiday game for sure. I don't think that's the case now. Still could be, I could be totally wrong about that, but every single time I try to think of what game could take that game's place, what could be the game that's big enough to be the holiday title of 2021, I always, no matter what, come back to Mario Kart 9. And I know a lot of people keep saying you can't put Mario Kart 9 out right now. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is selling too well. All it's gonna do is cannibalize the sales of that game, and I think that's kind of silly to say for a few reasons. One, that's kind of like saying you can't put out Breath of the Wild 2 because Breath of the Wild is on the Switch. It still sells really well. It's the best-selling Zelda game ever by a mile, by 10 miles. But you have to keep moving. And I think Nintendo knows that as well. You have to eventually give the people Mario Kart 9. You have to give the next iteration of the game. Because for those of you who don't know, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is not a Switch game. It's a Wii U game. The Deluxe was added on when it was brought over to the Switch. So we are way past due for a new Mario Kart game. Now, whether it's Mario Kart 9 or they change the name and they do something different, because as we've seen with the roster of Mario Kart with the DLC and Mario Kart 8 and 8 Deluxe, they've moved out of the same basic, Mario characters. We've gone out into Nintendo. We've got Splatoon. We've got Zelda. We've got Animal Crossing. We've got all kinds of different types of Nintendo properties represented in Mario Kart now. I mean, maybe we see the next evolution of this series and we start seeing something more along the lines of Smash Brothers and the characters that they bring into that, only, in a racer. I think that would be amazing. And I really do think that's probably going to be the holiday game this year. I think that is the game that is going to get them to the sales figures that they want to get to this year. Now, obviously, along with the other things that we've talked about, Breath of the Wild 2, all the Zelda 35th anniversary stuff, a Metroid Prime trilogy would definitely help with that. Of course, obviously, the Pokemon games are going to help with that immensely, but I think Mario Kart 9, or whatever they end up calling it, is going to be that big one that really puts them over the top and makes 2021 Nintendo's biggest year ever. But I want to know what game you want to see at E3. You don't have to tell me why, just leave me a comment below and let me know the name of the game that you want to see at E3. If you want to, let me know why, feel free to do that as well. But guys, as always, thank you so much for watching this video. Please leave a like. And as I said earlier, make sure you are subscribed because you might not be. And we'll see you in the next one.